Last day, I bought one lot of TCS call options for a BTST trade. The event was the US elections. I had bought the options at 40 each, costing me 7,000 rupees in total. As you can see, I gained 4,270 from the trade, which ultimately translates to a 61% profit. What I noticed yesterday was that TCS had been falling since long without any bad news on the earnings side, except for a bad US economy, which was anyways the case even before. No drastic change has occurred, yet the stock had made a downtrend on the charts. Due to volumes during the fall being low, I predicted that this short-term trend would be broken, and if that comes with good volumes, it might even break the previous all-time high. And what better time for an IT stock to engage volumes than in US election? The last time TCS went up with good enough volume was in July. Since then, the volumes have been absolutely dry. And what is more interesting is that this move had happened exactly at this level. The small red candle before the big green one is where the buying had started, which means that is an area where institutional buying must be taking place. This was the most important trigger which made me confident about this trade. And the US results being lined up for the next day, I knew for sure some big move was about to come. Surprisingly, unlike 2016, Trump's highly anticipated win was being considered good news for IT stocks. This might be due to weak stances taken by the Biden government, and even Trump's good relations with Modi. Seeing the general trend, all IT stocks had been performing really well in the long term, especially TCS. Looking at the charts, you can plot this long-term uptrend in TCS since April of last year. And if you see where the price is currently, it is exactly above this trend line. So some buying support would be received due to this factor as well. Overall, from a technical analysis viewpoint, it is a big buy signal. I knew for sure that if something absolutely drastic didn't happen in the elections, the only way from here was up, and that too, with big volume. And that is exactly how it played out the next day. As you can see, I sold the options at 65. At that time, the stock was trading above 4,030. Good trade, but the options ended up at 105 when the markets closed. If I had not sold, my gains would be around 12,000 rupees. Makes me a bit sad thinking about it, but I am glad. I took a really good trade, made 61% returns overnight, and didn't sit on too much risk. Basically, I did not want to be holding when the results were announced. You never know how volatile it could get after such events. Looking at the next biggest IT stock, Infosys also went up around 4%. I had also taken a look at it the previous day, but the brilliant signs on the TCS chart were just too good for me. All IT stocks were up, but TCS was what I personally was confident on. I had also looked at LTTS, another IT company of the Larsen and Toubro group. It looked really well on the charts, and it also went up with big volumes much like TCS. But again, for me, TCS was a far better trade. So that is what I went with. So that is pretty much all about the trade. It went well, and I'm glad about it. But again, you might still think why Trump's win is good for IT stocks in India. After all, Trump is against H-1B visas and foreigners working in bulk in USA. And all these IT companies do exactly that. If you search about it, you do get a few answers. If you remember, in 2016, Trump had actively advocated for travel bans and stuff. But this time, no such aggressive promises were made during his campaigns. This time, he is also making some promises like tax cuts, government spending, and deregulations. Why are these good for IT companies, you may think? Well, tax cuts mean greater spending by US citizens, which means higher cash inflows for consumer companies. And that in turn means more budget for spending on technology, which is ultimately what matters for companies like TCS and Infosys. Simple economics. That is also the reason why last evening, when the elections were underway in the US and the Indian markets were closed, NASDAQ went up by more than 1%. It is an index of tech companies in the US. This boosted my confidence that there would surely be a rise in Indian IT as well the next morning. In fact, as I see now, NASDAQ went up even more by more than 2% after election results. Maybe the party's not over yet. Currently, it is exactly at its all-time high. Would be very interesting to see what happens next. Anyway, I closed a good trade and am happy about it. This was my trade explanation, and I hope you liked it. Subscribe to Indie Accountant for more such videos. Thank you.